So, hello, and it's going, yeah, it's working. So, hello, and welcome back to the next episode of the Self-Development with Tactics fucking podcast. And I'm fucking pumped to be here because yesterday I actually didn't record anything because I recorded yesterday's episode the day before, which was some kind of a great thing because I did just save a lot of time by this because I didn't have too much time yesterday because my girlfriend slept over because today actually is Tuesday and I have a vacation day, or I think it's some kind of a, I don't know. But we are going ahead with Top Mind, which is a book about being an influencer, being a leader, being a whatever. Just to not show you the whole advertising on my phone that I'm actually using as a microphone, if you didn't know that. But yeah, we are going ahead with Top Mind, which is actually a pretty great book. Actually, like this, it's better. Or is it like this better? I don't know. But I could practically move it a little bit up. Make it a little bit bigger. Click in here, and then it is okay. Seems to be okay. Yeah. Yeah, now it's working. Now it's like I want it even actually in the golden ratio, which is totally something that I pretty much like. If you don't know, golden ratio is just like the proportion that is now on the screen. So the proportion between, is it a proportion? Yeah, let's say the proportion between the window where you can actually see the website that I'm actually on, which is the paulminus.com website, and where you actually see the book summary. So this proportion with the proportion of me, so the webcam actually. So this kind of a, how it is actually called? Yeah, the proportion between those two things is actually now in a golden ratio. Some kind of, not exactly, but if you want to calculate the golden ratio, then you just have to multiply whatever you want the golden ratio of by 0.681. Yes, 681. And then you get the golden ratio, and then you can totally see what the golden ratio of this certain, I don't know, maybe it's your bed, maybe it's, something if you're designing something or whatever, which is totally something great because the golden ratio itself is a proportion that a lot of people like, or in general the people like, because it's, it often is in the nature. So particularly all the plants and, all the trees and whatsoever often, and also the human being as, the face, for example, you can definitely often see the golden ratio as a proportion in the face or by trees and whatever. But enough being said, we're going ahead with the actual book summary. So top of mind, and we will go ahead with transparency and likability, which I actually remembered from the last episode because I was like, yeah, you know what, I will just stop there because the next few points and the next few categories are kind of sticking together, and therefore I just decided to just do them all in one because it would make more sense. Transparency and likability. Research shows that the three most important factors of a company's trustworthiness is, first of all, whether the company is transparent actually. Whether the company has transparent, honest business practices in place, the quality of the products and services is provided, and how it communicates with the outside world. Failing to engage your customer base in an ongoing conversation is the equivalent of withholding information. Totally, I think all these three are pretty important, but I do just actually think that that often you can totally see that most of the companies that work inside are actually just working outside as well. This is also something that I've read once in another business book that I've actually been featuring here on this podcast or on this channel. And so you can definitely see when a just a really big company or general companies, when they're working inside or in the inside, you can definitely see it in the outside as well. And it's, vice versa as well. And it makes sense for me, because if there's some kind of wars inside the fucking company, you can definitely see that, on the outside, some presentations might not work, or some just speeches, the CEO of the company might have to take just do not work, because, there's so much tension inside of the company that all the people just, I don't know. But yeah, how to be likable. Authentic likability is a practice that can help keep your clients from shopping around for a different company. Likable people always shift the spotlight to others, listen a lot more than they talk, don't practice selective hearing, are thoughtful simply because they want to be, put their stuff away, meaning they don't check their phones, laptops, or watches during conversations, give before they receive, and sometimes they never receive, don't act self-important because they realize other people are more important, choose their words, don't choose their words, don't discuss the failings of others, but readily admit their failures. And I do just remember that I hope there was no fucking sound before this. I hope not, but I think not. So I think everything should be fine. Yeah, everything is now at least fine. So yeah, I'm pretty sorry if there was some music before. I hope you are aware I hope there was nothing like music, but yeah. So all of these principles are just as relevant to the world of branding and online content as they are to your personal interactions, which is totally true. And any piece of your content could potentially form someone's first impression of you. And that's also totally true, but I would still say that you shouldn't be just cruel by just, the thoughts and the opinions a lot of people might have of you, in terms of actually creating the content, in terms of actually, producing a lot of stuff. If I would just be like, I'm not sure if the people might like me if I put out this post or that post, I think I wouldn't just be able to post fucking 10. Now it's actually 10 posts a day. There's always some kind of a war or conflict between just quantity and just the willingness to put out a lot. And I do not want to say quality, because quality is something that's pretty subjective, but also, I would say thoughts. I think if you just put out a lot of things, you might not be as thoughtful about them, maybe, not particularly, because I do still think about what I'm just showing, how I can actually make my post that people actually want to see it, and so on and so on and so on, because this is important for me, because I understand that a lot of people, or just in general people, are just visual, they just like visuals. And if you just give them some text to read, most of them will probably be like, what the fuck? I don't want to read just your fucking paragraph on Instagram when I just can look at some other videos or some other pictures where I can totally see something like, an infographic or something else. This makes sense for me, but yeah. So consistency and familiarity. If you are not consistent, you are not a thought leader. When you are exposed consistently to something over a long period, it becomes familiar and easy to recall. In other words, top of mind. And that's totally true. If you just really listen to maybe Gary Vee, if you're listening to Tony Robbins, if you're listening to Les Brown all the fucking time, or Eric Thomas, is it Eric Thomas? So I'm very sorry for maybe even saying it. Yeah, it's Eric Thomas. Yes, it's Eric Thomas, because I always felt like, is it Eric Thompson or is it Eric Thomas or whatever? So I've never been completely sure about that, which is totally something that I'm pretty sorry. But yeah, I'm going ahead with consistency and familiarity. So what I want to say is that if you're just listening to these, and this is actually some kind of a thing that I would invite you to do, if you're just listening to these great voices, to these great people, to these people you might even look up to, you totally get a lot of their thoughts and you totally internalize a lot of their thoughts, which is actually one of the things, or one of the reasons why I would say that you should actually be listening to a lot of motivational speeches, a lot of podcasts from them, and a lot of in general, you just listen to them talk about their thoughts, talk about what they're doing, talk about what their mindset is. Because at my point of view, this is what really helped me to just be who I am right now. And because I was listening to Les Brown all the fucking time, because it is fun. It is fun to just listen to such an engaging voice, such an just enormously motivating voice with a great story maybe. Most of the speeches have some kind of a story in it, which is, totally conscious, because we all like stories. This is just fact. But if you just listen to them, I think this just, first of all, feels good in terms of you actually feeling like you're doing something good for you. Even it might not necessarily be the thing, because in this time you could also do something else, which is totally something you should be conscious about, that everything is a lot of things are just you living the reality. If it's actually, reading a book, even though it might be some kind of non-fiction, even though it might be a book about, I don't know, rocket science. And there are a lot of things, but I would still say that these things are just you leaving the reality, because you could do just work on your business. You could engage on social media for your business. You could engage with your customers. You could just write emails to potential business partners, which is totally true. And it might not be as drastical, I would say, than just watching TV all day long or just watching YouTube all day long, when it's just really something that's not providing any value to you. So I will still say that there is some kind of difference between reading a book, if it's, non-fiction, even though, the thing is, just by reading, I think you can just, really develop certain parts of your brain. I think this is even scientifically proven, but I don't know. Do you see? I always turn out this when I'm just talking about something that I'm either passionate about or something that's not particularly in the text, so that I think you can just focus a little bit better on what I'm speaking and what I'm telling you. And I think it's just great having some kind of difference between, the regular sequences and something like this. I just hope to not just touch anything else and just turn off the whole recording, which would totally be some shit. But so build familiarity and authority. Especially those two things I think are important, because familiarity, people in general like things or people or just objects that are familiar to them, or some kind of like them. So, which is actually the thing, that a lot of people have spouses that are actually kind of similar to who they are or to how they actually are themselves. Then authority is actually something like, I think it's also important, because if you have some kind of an authority, a lot of people will just listen to you, because they think like, okay, this person knows what he or she is talking about, and I know that he is just good in what he's doing, and then he's definitely an authority to you. Carve more paths for your audience to connect with you, and this is actually why I totally think that that being diversified with where your content is and where you're putting out all your things is important, because if you just want to create as much paths to connect to you as possible, you just have to have Twitter, you have to have Instagram, you have to have Facebook, you have to have a podcast, you have to have YouTube, you have to have quite everything if you're just really willing to create as much exposure for yourself, as much connection points for your audience to you, or for you, to you, whatever. and the last one is create opportunities to draw line backs and appear in relevant search results, which is, I think, kind of correlated to just being on all these social media platforms, in my point of view, or just in my situation. There might be a lot of businesses where just, being on social media and being on different platforms and having a lot of content outside may not be as important. I would say every single company should actually do something like this. And this is not particularly it is my opinion, but it's not something that I kind of founded. But actually Gary Vee himself. And I think he is just a real authority to me, because I think I know that he knows what he's talking about. And I think therefore I just believe in what he's saying. I believe in just how it is. But I wanted to say that putting out content might be, or is, I think is just very important for every single business there is, because if you can just provide more for your customers, more for your potential customers as possible, so that they maybe even do not have to just go to your shop or go to your company and ask there or buy something there. I think they will just, first of all, begin to trust you, they begin to like you. And yeah, because I think, especially through all the possibilities we have right now, which is, obviously social media and obviously the internet, I think especially through social media, you just seem very, very just, on the same ground or on the same level as, as your customers are. Because I think if I'm just there and if I'm just looking up a company and I see, okay, they have Instagram and they have, whatever most of the time I am on Instagram if I'm just doing something. But wow, you can actually only hear my voice. And this is, I think, only because I turned out the whole window. And it seems to be actually like the window recording is actually taking up the most of the energy and the most of the CPU my PC has, actually. So when I'm turning it on, yeah, I totally see how the percentage this program uses will go up quite quickly. Yeah, but I think, on social media especially, I kind of feel like, okay, all the brands and all the companies are actually on the same level as I am. They do not seem as like the very big company that's outside there, that's maybe in Hollywood, that's maybe in somewhere. And I think this is also one of the reasons why social media is such a thing, because actually all the celebrities and all the people you might haven't been able to connect to are now able to connect to you, and you are able to connect with them, which is totally great, I think. Yeah, the third one is best content strategy practices. Your audience comes to your content with an agenda or agenda. They want to be educated or perhaps just entertained, right to their needs, and you'll earn a top of mind spot. And this is actually what's true. And a lot of people just talk about, providing value to your just fucking not company, but your fucking audience, which is totally great. And I believe in this and I think it's true. But the thing is, having value or providing value to the people has a lot of subjective sides to it. Value could be entertaining them, as they just, which is totally something that I like. As they pointed out, you can just entertain them, and this would be just the value you're providing for those people or to those people. A lot of other people might just like knowledge. A lot of other people might just want something great animated or something in terms of, graphic design or in terms of the aesthetic of the video or of the content itself. They're just willing to get something like this. But so bringing value and giving value to a lot of people has a lot of subjective sides to it. So the first one is set goals and document your strategy. The planning process is an opportunity to think about your target audience, potential topics, distribution tactics, and scaling strategies. Which customer segments do you want to cater? When and how often will you or your team create this content? Who will edit and... Is this actually a word? Liaise? Lice? It's lice actually. It's Liaise. Okay, have never ever seen this fucking word in my entire life. But it's always great. And I just always think about actually doing something else than this. And I always think about doing something additional to that. But most of the time I come just to the conclusion at the very end, that most of the time, I actually should be doing this. And I think this is actually a business enough as you want to think about this like this. But it's very hard for me, and it's very difficult for me to just, maybe it's just because I have to be patient. Maybe it's just because I really have to be patient and have to wait until something happens, until I just get to see something, until I actually see, okay, I have actually an audience, there is an audience, or whatsoever. But at the end, I do quite feel like, okay, what I'm doing right now is, one of the best things I could actually do. It's, fitting what I actually like to do. It also involves things that I like to do. So I'm not actually only talking about things I like to, but I'm just doing it in a way that I pretty much like. So at the end, I just really hope that you can find yourself something like this, that you can totally say, okay, maybe I have to, where you can totally say then, what's going on? I think I some kinda changed something up on the settings of my phone. I do hope that the whole recording is just doing great. But it should, practically it should. But yeah, who knows what happens and who knows. Maybe I was way too silent back then. I hope this won't be too bad, and this was just something. I'm very sorry, I think there was just some kind of sound there. I don't know. I hope everything is good, everything is fine. I will see. But yeah, those are 3 great essential questions. And yeah, knowledge, attraction, and management. The next step is to create a process or system to extract the knowledge, insights, and expertises that together make for engaging content. Be alert for content triggers. They are conversations that inspire aha moments about your industry or your client's needs. Once you have been triggered for content, keep track of your content topics, ideas, and commentary. Create a knowledge bank. It is a centralized location for storing and cataloging. What the fuck? So cataloging. Is it cataloging or cataloging your team's ideas, insights, content, triggers, and experiences. Keep everything in one place. Make it easier and faster to create authentic, engaging content in the future. This is a great idea. This is totally a great idea. Especially if you think about it like, okay, you maybe have templates, you maybe have other just resources that you're just using over and over again, and having them in a place where you can just really easy just get them and use them and whatsoever is totally great, and is totally, I think, the way to go. To just be faster and just keep to what you're doing, and not change up something out of accident, which might totally appear or occur. Because often, you have a lot of data on your just systems and or your server or wherever, and you mix up things and you just, kind of think something different and whatever. There can be just happening a lot of things that may lead to some accidental just fuck ups and that might just, not be too good for your audience if it's just something very dramatically automatical. But yeah. So enrich your knowledge bank, make it fun, but how? The first one is send a quick message to everyone on your team who is in regular and direct contact with your most valued audiences. The second one is request any information they can share that helps you better understand your audience. The third one is make it a contest to see who can add the most information to your knowledge bank. And this is actually something that I'm fucking feared about. I actually do not just reactivate the window so that you can actually see it, and I'm just only talking with me quite and talking about something quite, and you actually can't just see what I'm talking about, which is totally something that I'm feared of. But sorry for shouting. Sorry for fucking shouting. Yeah. So actually having some kind of a competition in your company could go well. On the other side, I think it could go well because it was standing in How to Win Friends and Influence People. So he actually pointed it out with some kind of a story where he, which might be actually an interesting story for you. So Dale Carnegie, he was actually working with some kind of factory, I think, and with the factory workers, or this was actually a story from somebody else who just told it to Dale Carnegie. I don't know. It might be something, like this, but there were just the night shift and the day shift workers. And the thing was that often one of these just wasn't pretty productive, and the product manager or the factory owner or whoever it was, I'm not quite sure, and I just really invite you to go through How to Win Friends and Influence People on your own as well, because it is an incredible book, and this is also one of the books that really showed me that only having a book summary and only going through a book summary is not enough. You can just get a lot of quick information about it or about, what the really great insights of the book, but actually creating and having the same feeling as if you were actually going through the whole book, is definitely not the thing. So it won't just, let you feel like this, but the story was like, okay, the night shift, I think it actually was the day shift, which wasn't too productive. Then after the night shift was was ready or was finished, the product manager or the factory manager, factory owner, got into the factory and wrote down how many pieces, because I think it wasn't something like automobile. They were just creating something else. So which wasn't quite a lot. So I think the first number was actually 7, if I remember correctly. So he wrote a big 7 with some kind of caulk or chalk or whatever it was on the ground, on the floor. And then when the day shift came in, there was like, okay, what's that? And, whatsoever. And then I think actually the factory owner explained to them, okay, and this is actually the amount that the night shift people have been making in this particular day or in this particular night or just the night before. Then all these just day shift workers were so eager to just really surpass that number that they some kind of think just achieved 9 or something. And this went on and went on and went on. And so actually also the day shift and the night shift got pushed as well, because, then the day shift got a little bit better, and then the night shift got better, and then the day shift again, and so on and so on. And this was some kind of a healthy competition. I just really want to say healthy because just having a competition everywhere and just putting the people so much on pressure that they just have to work so hard that it's actually going downwards again might not be the way to go, and definitely is not, because I think they should actually be happy. They should be happy what they're working on and whatsoever, and not really thucking with them or, whatever. But yeah. Award a quarter's winner with a prize or bonus or something that the person finds valuable. Definitely, and it does not have to be money. Often people say, okay, giving them a higher salary or giving them a higher wage might be just the way to go. The way to go that the people actually working harder, working more hours, and working whatever. But this doesn't have to necessarily be the thing. A lot of people just might not want this additional salary or might not just want this additional wage. Even though I do think all people want, but I'm just talking about it in another context. But maybe people just really want to get, the cards or the tickets for a really great football game on the weekend, just to go to with their family and or even with their boss. This might just be one of the facts or one of the reasons why somebody still is just working or even working harder in your company, at my point of view at least. And this was actually some kind of story with Gary Vee as well. Can I actually? Yeah, I can. Because one of his really precious, I think, employees wanted to actually leave the company, and then he bought him just some cards or tickets to a game or whatever. And this was at the end. He just told him, not at the end of the game, but at the end, or sometime later, a few years later, he then actually told Gary that this was only the reason, or this was the really only reason why he stayed at his company and didn't leave. Will I go through this one? Should I? Yeah. Committing to a process of content creation. You don't need to create all the content yourself. Surround yourself with a team or strategists, writers and editors together. Figure out a collaborative creative process for translating the knowledge bank ideas into engaging written content. Or even not, it doesn't necessarily have to be written content. It also could be, or is this about only written? Yeah, it shouldn't only be written. We are also visual people and we all just really want to see things. At my point of view, in general, videos are great. Videos are actually very great for the engagement, for actually learning people a lot more, giving them a more value, because it is just way more fun to go through a video than just to go through only voice or go through a picture or some kind of a carousel slide or something on Instagram or Facebook. But yeah. So the content reviewer should ask, does this make sense and could anything in here hurt my brand? I do think I've often just heard or often just seen or some kind of, it was actually I think with Elon Musk. So he had a content reviewer on Tesla, end on SpaceX, I think, or for him as a personal brand, I don't know. So he himself had some kind of a content reviewer, but he actually does not show all his tweets and what he ever puts out into the internet to this particular guy or girl or team or whatever. And this was actually one of the reasons why sometimes, some of his tweets actually get a lot of negative response, or actually get some kind of a negative response from other media or whatever. But he still gives a fuck about what the content reviewer says, and he doesn't show them just by now as well. So, which was totally something that I kind of found but I do just understand it. He's just a role. He on himself or on his own. He has a lot of rules and he has a lot of things to do all day long, and then actually only because you're just famous and only you just have a lot of people that know you. Just always having to go up to your content reviewer and just ask them, okay, is this okay to just put it out? I understand that this is just fucking you, and this is just very, I don't know, it just takes not even the effort, but a lot of time, I think, as well. So if you just really want to put something out quickly and whatever, I hope it was Elon Musk. I think it was even, so I might be wrong, and when I'm wrong, I'm just very sorry. But yeah, I think this is the end with the episode. It was really great. I hope you like the new integration, the new thing with the on and off, just with the other screen, so that you can actually see me, have some other things to see and whatsoever. Might be a little bit more interesting, the video itself, without actually cutting it. This is the best thing. I'm always only doing it in the software. I'm only doing it with keyboard shortcuts, which is the best thing about it. So I do not have to cut anything. I do not have to do anything additional to that, and it might even save a lot of time, because when this fucking window isn't there, maybe the video is a little bit more maybe it's even a little bit smaller because of the size, or in terms of the size, because not always just a fucking window is there. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day. Do not forget about your legacy and giving back to the people, but I still wish you the best happiness, greatness, wealth, health, and success. Right. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Or today, actually, 2 times. Yeah, today.